Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host. And today I'm here with Jennifer Schwytzer. And so Jennifer, she is a life coach, and she is going to help you figure out how to get out of the burnout, right?
Right. You got it.
So why don't you tell us a little about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I started my career actually as a social worker, and I worked a lot in the hospital setting in mental health and went down the very fun road of burnout and struggled a lot with anxiety and overwhelm. And my husband and I were actually foster parents. And during that time, I felt like I just can't do this anymore. I can't juggle so many hats. And I decided to make a change in my career. And that's when I kind of made that jump over into coaching. And it brought me just a little bit more flexibility for work-life balance. And it helped with the burnout. And it helped me to spend more time with my family, which was for me the ultimate goal.
And I love that because making sure that you figure out what you love and what's important to you. I think I hit that last year where I worked my stinking tail off the year before. And I realized that I need to create more of a balance. And so what does burnout look like and how do you get rid of it?
Yeah. So I think sometimes, burnout is hard to see until you're in it. And once you're in it, and you're like, oh no, I'm not feeling myself. And so for me, burnout, what looked like I was always tired. I didn't enjoy going to work. I didn't enjoy, it was those Sunday scaries and the Monday blues. And I just wasn't finding the joy in the work that I was doing anymore. I struggled a lot with the decision fatigue of, coming home from work and somebody wanted to do something, or we just wanted to figure out what was for dinner. And I had a really hard time making a decision that felt good because I was tired. I was exhausted, mentally just drained. And for me, that was kind of, what my burnout looked like, just that physical exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, and just not super happy.
Having a hard time maybe getting out of bed or you're going through the motions, but you'd have zero passion for it anymore.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And you just feel like, what am I doing this for? Like my wheels are just spinning.
Yeah, it totally is. So I hear a lot about self-care and how we got to take care of ourselves, and that's so important. But it's more than just the bubble baths and the massages, which I'm not a bubble bath person. I am a massage person. So what does self-care, how do you describe that?
Yeah, I actually once had a presentation that was called Self-Care Isn't About Bubble Baths and Massages, because I think everyone does feel like I have to do this big, grandiose gesture to get self-care. And so when I think of self-care, I'm really think about, what brings a smile to my face? What do I enjoy doing? What brings me joy? It could be something as little as, taking a walk around the house, looking at the garden, or, for me, it's like enjoying a cup of coffee before everyone gets out of bed in the morning and watching the news. And it has to be the national news because the local news is no fun and it's usually pretty horrific, but so it's sometimes it's those very little things that just are going to remind you like, okay, let me get out of this funk. Let me enjoy something for a moment. For some people, it's, working out at the gym or taking walks. I love to walk my dog in nature. For me, that's part of my self-care. Reading books, listening to podcasts, so just recognizing sometimes it's just the really little things that are going to recenter you and bring you back to this calm, happy place that you want to be in.
Yeah, that's very true. So how do we get started? How do we identify what's important to us? Because I remember when I was in the executive role, go, everything was work. How many, or in my real estate, if I can get another deal and another deal, another deal, it became an addiction, right? And so what is that? How do we get started?
Yeah, I think the first part is slowing down and recognizing like something needs to change, because until we like hit that point of just that feeling that, oh, I don't like this feeling, something has to change. I think that's your first kind of indication that, all right, I'm ready to make a change, because some people aren't ready to make a change, and that's okay. Like if you like being in that go, go, go role and you're not quite ready for a change, like I don't want you to be there, but sometimes you want to be there. So number one, recognizing. And then like you said, that second piece is really thinking about, what are my values? What is important to me? What are my priorities? And so I'm really focusing in on that. And when I make decisions, when I set boundaries around my time, I'm always going back to, how does this impact what's important to me? How does this impact my priorities? How does this impact what I value? And so recognizing where it is you want to be and how you're making decisions around that, I think is just, when I start working with people, like that's the first thing we get really, really clear on, is what's important to you and how do we make this a priority in your life?
I love that. So, talking to entrepreneurs who are moms,
Mhm.
a lot of times, like you might be a solopreneur, or you might like, you don't do it, it doesn't get done.
Yeah.
So some people feel like they have to work all the time because otherwise, the money's coming in or we need
Yeah.
something. So how do you coach people to say, well, let's talk about boundaries
Yep.
and how do we do this? And getting
Yeah.
the person to feel like, that they don't work nights and weekends or something. When, like for me, it's real estate. So how do you
Yeah.
not? But I know
Right.
people don't. So how do you?
Right. Yeah, that's such a great question, because I think it looks so different for everybody. And, I like to say as well, like I am a solopreneur. I have nobody doing anything else for me besides maybe like my dogs who are keeping me company during the day. But if I don't, like, you're so right. Like, if I'm not getting it done, nobody else is doing it. So, what I really try to balance is, okay, I know that I have something this evening. So maybe I start my day a little bit sooner so that I could have that ability. Or, hey, actually, we have no basketball or baseball games tomorrow night, and the kids are all going to friends' houses. So I'm actually going to have a lot of time in the evening to work. And so maybe I give myself the morning to myself, or maybe I, go have breakfast with my partner, or, you know, I think it allows, like being a solopreneur, it does allow me to set different work hours for myself that work for my family, which is, again, that's the priority that I keep going back to. My husband is coaching a baseball game tonight, and it's like, well, I cleared off, tonight. So I got started at 5 o'clock this morning so that I could feel good about where I was at with my work to make sure I could get there. And so it's just like sometimes figuring out that balance. A really good example, I network with somebody and I use her as an example all the time. She has a footer at her email, and it says, my work balance life may look different than yours. If you are receiving this outside of your normal business hours, please don't feel obligated to respond. And I thought, oh, wow, that is so great,
Yeah,
because all of our work hours do look so different. I'm not the 9 to 5 mom. I'm, sometimes working later in the evening or earlier in the morning, sometimes on weekends. So it really just depends on what works for you and what's important to you.
I like that. That's a great tip because I do sometimes. I mean, my
Yeah.
client, it might be 4 in the morning, or it
Yeah.
might be 2 in the morning, or 11 o'clock at
Yeah.
night, or even other agents. And so it's like, you don't have
Yep.
to. I'm actually going to add that to my email.
I know. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's so like it's such a reflection of, everyone's different and we're all working very differently, and that's okay.
Right. So, what are some common themes that you see though that you when working with your clients that are struggles?
A lot of times it's the guilt. And I think a lot of the women that I work with just struggle with the guilt of making themselves a priority and taking care of themselves, because there's always someone else in the mix to take care of. Oh, so and so has a doctor's appointment, or I've got to get to this baseball game, or if I take time for myself, I'm not spending time with my family. And so I think guilt plays a lot into our abilities to take care of ourselves. And I'm a big proponent. It's so cliche, but if our cup's not filled, like we can't fill anybody else's. And, I take care of myself so that I can be a better person for those people around me. Like I'm just nicer, I'm happier, like if I take care of myself. And so I justify that. It's really important for me to do that. So I show up better for the people around me.
So it's a cliche, but I was watching this movie the other day and I didn't realize it was a horror movie till it's over, and the ending was horrible. But part of it was they're on this airplane and this guy, he's a paramedic, and I'm not going to tell you the title because it was like so horrible. And but the cabin pressure went away, and so they were supposed to have the oxygen masks. And so this guy goes over to, he sees this little girl and he sees the mom, she's passed out, so she never got the oxygen mask on herself, so then she didn't get it on her daughters. But it is true. You do have to
It
take
is.
care of yourself
It
first.
is. It is. I will sometimes, we have 2 7-month-old babies right now, and
Wow.
I don't care if everyone's crying and if nobody's eating breakfast. Like if I don't make it to the gym in the morning, I am not a happy camper. Like, and so for me, it's like I can depend on my husband. Like, okay, he knows that I need this for myself and he's very supportive, which is fantastic. But I'm like, I have to go. I just I can't, I have to take care of myself. And so I just have to get past that, like that initial, like, ooh, should I go? Should I not? Like, no, I have to go.
True. No, my husband, he's a big fisherman, and I realized for him, when he starts to get stressed, like that is his outlet. And so I used to get upset, like we have all this stuff to do. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I can't do that to him anymore
I
because
know.
he
I
needs his
know.
outlet, and that is his outlet.
Yeah.
And
My
it's
husband is mowing the lawn and I'm like, how
really,
many times a week can we mow the lawn? But it's like, you know what? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go take a couple hours, mow the lawn, get away. Like, but that's like his alone time, like listening to a podcast, like just, and I'm like, okay, our lawn is going to be the best looking lawn around, but
well, let me know. That's great. I have not heard that one before, lawn mowing. But it's good that you recognize that. Does he recognize that that's his way of just,
I think so. I think so. There's a certain part of him I think that is like I just, need a little outlet. I need a little relief. I'm just gonna go outside, and then he usually finds his way to the lawnmower.
my grandpa or great grandpa, it was cutting wood. If he got mad at
Oh
my
yeah.
dad, I never met him, but my dad said he spent a lot of time cutting wood because,
Yeah,
that was his.
exactly. I know, right?
That's a good one though, guilt. I don't think we talk about that enough.
Yeah, and I think, especially as moms, like we're always taking care of someone else. And I think that there's always something to do at home. There's dinner to cook, a house to clean, dishes to put away. There's always something.
Mhm.
And we always think, oh, well, I don't have time to do this for myself because all of this has to get done. And it'll get done. I tell my clients, it is not selfish. It'll get done.
And if it doesn't, it's okay too. It's fine
Yeah,
to get done if you stay because you're like thinking about all the things you have to do that you're in
right.
a
Exactly.
paralyzed mode anyway.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. You're going to stress yourself out even more.
And you don't get it done. Well, I want you to think, and this is not something of a regret, okay? But if you're sitting on the park bench and you are talking to your 19-year-old self, what advice would you give her?
Keep going. I think that our 19-year-old selves, like I had very low self-esteem. I didn't have a lot of confidence. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I was in a bad relationship and I felt pretty hopeless. So I would say just keep going. Like it's going to get better.
And how did you come to where you are now? Because you were a social worker. So what made you decide this is
Yeah.
what?
It's interesting. During COVID, I feel like a lot of stories start like that. During COVID, I joined, it was actually like a very small workout crew, and we worked out every single morning before work. A lot of us were hospital workers, and we would work out on Zoom, and we established this really great community. And they were so encouraging. They were so like upbeat. They were so there, something that they always told me when I was hard on myself was just give yourself some grace. And it was a saying that I've kind of carried with me, and to be a little bit more gentle with myself. And we dove into, as a group, like personal development. We'd have personal development book clubs. And during that time, I was like, I'm supposed to do more. Like, I'm not supposed to be in a hospital from 9 to 5. Like, I'm supposed to do more. I'm not sure what that is yet, but there's something out there that's a little bit more for me.
That's cool. And you took the leap and you followed what you felt was right. And
Yep.
that's this underlying theme that when I speak with women who are
Yep.
entrepreneurs, that,
Yeah.
have a feeling, it's called a calling,
Yeah.
Well, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they find you?
Yeah, so my business page on Instagram is called Kindfulness Coaching, or you can find me on the web at kindfulnesscoaching.com.
Nice. All right. Well, Unbreakable Mompreneurs, this is another episode with Jennifer Schwytzer. And really, if you are struggling, or if you're burning out, or you're feeling like I just can't do it, or you've lost that passion, get with Jen, because she is going to help you find your passion again and figure out what it is that you really want to do. So Jen, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Charisse, for having me. I appreciate it.
And moms, go make it a great day. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.